My viewers chose my most favorite Christmas DIYs of all time since I started YouTube, and that's what I'm going to show y'all today.
I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now.
Items that I'm going to use. Everything is from Dollar Tree except for my glue gun and my scissors and this can of snow. If you watched one of my other videos, I used this and this was only $1.98 at Walmart. You don't have to use this. I just want to use this to give the swag more of that frosty effect. Okay, so everything else is from Dollar Tree. These berries right here, these picks, and then I just have some ribbon from there. I recommend using at least 2 types of ribbon. And then I also have this decorative mesh from the Dollar Tree. It's just a red one, and I'm gonna figure out how to incorporate that on there. And then I just have my Dollar Tree I'm gonna go ahead and take my tree out, and I'm gonna go ahead and spray it with the snow. Okay, so I just put this big ugly old towel down, that way I can protect my table. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take it out, and it's gonna be upside down, so I'm gonna just go ahead and start spreading it out. What you want to do is spray one even light coat on and let it dry, and then spray it again if you want it to be a thicker coat. Okay guys, so this is some Dollar Tree ribbon that I'm going to use instead of the polka dot one. So I'm going to make the bow to put on the swag. So the tree, I was able to do 2 coats. It sat the whole day and night just because I had so many things to do yesterday. Then at the end of this, you see I have this long one left. I'm going to go ahead and bring it down here too and leave a huge loop right here. Then I'm going to cut this, and then it's going to be the 2 tails that fall under the bow. So now I'm just going to take my twine and stick it in there and tie it off. Okay, so here's my swag. It does have fallout, so just keep that in mind. I'm gonna go ahead and take my bow and glue it on this part. So now I'm gonna take this ribbon and I want to add it right here along with this. So now what I'm going to do is grab my deco mesh, and I'm going to fold it in half like that and cut it. Just take pieces like that, fold it in half as big as you want. Instead of it just being flat like that, I'm going to kind of like fold it together like this to give it a little like curve, and then just glue it down, and then I'm going to stick it behind here, just all around in the back of the big bow. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take some of this, fold it like that, and then make another piece like that, cut it, and then put it in the back of the red ribbon, but in front of the mesh. I'm gonna grab some more of this and take some more pieces of this and add it in here. Okay, so the last step that I'm gonna do to it is just add these berries, and I just stuck them in everywhere I wanted them to go. So now I just need to glue them down. Love the way it turned out. So pretty. And even if this is not your style, as far as like you don't want to do red traditional colors for Christmas, you can do whatever type of style you want, farmhouse style, just any style that you like, any colors that you want, you can do it that way. So as you could probably tell, this was my first time making one of these swags, so I'm sure there are easier methods to apply like the mesh part of the swag, but I just did it that way because it was just easier to me. Maybe there are different methods for that, maybe easier methods. You know, I'm not too sure, but I think it came out looking so pretty.
All of this stuff right here is from Dollar Tree. The 2 red cones right here, I'm just gonna basically make them over with the poinsettias. So I have a more burgundy type red poinsettia and then a more bright red color. What I'm gonna do is remove them from the stems, and I'm gonna hot glue them on here, and I'm gonna leave the greenery on as well. I'm gonna start off by gluing the red ones first. So you can see I already removed them off of the stem, and I'm just gonna add the greenery to it. I think it looks more like a poinsettia that way. So I did about 6 or 7 of each color, so I would say about 12 to 14 poinsettias to cover the whole cone. And I decided to leave the red on it. I don't know what that's called. I completely forgot. I just don't remember, because I want this to be red. So that's why I decided to leave the red background on there, so there will be no like empty space. If I remove it, then it'll show this black plastic. So that's why I'm just going to leave it.
Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for you and me. The snow is falling down, and the storm is on its way. But as long as you're around, everything will be okay. 'Cause all I wanna do is spend this holiday with you. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for me and you. I've longed for this moment, to have you for myself, in a cabin out in nowhere, just us and no one else. I've decorated everything till we're perfect for this week. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for you and me. Another year went by, but the difference this time is that ever since July,
I cut out a round piece of cardboard for the bottom of the poinsettia tree, and I just added some hot glue. That way I can set it on top of this Dollar Tree candle.
tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for me and you. I've longed for this moment, to have you for myself, in a cabin.
These are some of the things I'm going to use first. I have this Dollar Tree platter, and what I'm going to do is paint the edges first with the Apple Barrel Jet Black paint, and then I will be using Mod Podge from Dollar Tree. I told you could pick up small ones like this for $1, and I'm going to Mod Podge this print, this red and black buffalo print in the middle. And I got this inspiration from Pinterest. I'm going to show you how it looks. Look how pretty that is. I did 2 coats. Now that it's dry, I already cut this out. I'm gonna put some on here. I have a piece of wreath right here. You can grab any wreath you want. They have garland at Dollar Tree. I also have this baker's twine from Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using that to hang a little buffalo check bow. They came in a 6-pack from Walmart. It had to be no more than $2 maybe. Okay, so the first way I'm going to show you is with the picture frames. So this is super easy. Now you can either leave the glass on or off. I would say leave it on because when you do put the ribbon over it, the ribbon will stay in place instead of like kind of sinking in. Once you put these back down, it's kind of loose still, the glass. So what you can do is just add a line of glue all around. That way the glass won't move. If you want this to be really sturdy, you can add a line of E6000 all around and then add a line of hot glue. So once you do that, you're going to end up with this. What I'm going to do is just take my ribbon and I'm going to take a piece and make sure it overlaps the top like that, and then go all the way down and make sure it overlaps a little bit at the bottom, so about right there. And once I cut that, I can make all of my strips of ribbon this size. Now bring it like that, because now instead of just gluing the bottom part right here, we want to make sure this is down, so we want to put a line of glue right here too. And then now we're going to do the same thing on this side. Once you have it with ribbon all around the box, now we're just going to put the 3 pieces of ribbon at the top, and then of course we're going to leave the bottom open. Take my gold ribbon and put it around the present as if it were wrapped like a gift, and then I will make a Christmas bow on the top. You're gonna need 2 pieces like this because you're gonna cross this on the gift box.
So lift up one side and just do the same thing we did with this ribbon, just glue it under. Then pick it up and wrap it all the way around to the other side. And then glue under here. Okay, so to do the bow, I just grabbed the rest of my gold ribbon and folded it in half. And then I'm just gonna cross it like this. And then bring this part down like that to make those loops. And then just kind of bend these together. Just like that. And then you can just grab any kind of string and wrap it around there. I just been having these boxes since last year. You can find little boxes at the Dollar Tree, like I said, and even if it's not this tall, you can maybe stack another little one on top depending on how high you want the lights to go up. So now once I have the box, I'm just gonna take my lights. I'm gonna turn it on and then just stick this in here. And then I'm just gonna wrap it around. And then I'm just gonna put a piece of tape right here. Okay, and then I'm gonna take another strand of lights. And then all you do is just take your box and put it on the top like that. So obviously you can add more lights if you want, it's up to you, but I just think they look perfect and so cute. So this just gets me super excited and I just can't wait to start decorating already for Christmas. So the next DIY, I decided to make a couple of bells. I grabbed the largest bow I could find. What I did was glue one of the really small plastic bows out of that 12 pack on top of this, so it made it look like a bell. Again, using hot glue and E6000. So you could also pick up a pack of these cardboard little bowls and it would be much easier to hang these bells up. But I decided to use the little plastic bowls like I said, and I will show you how I hung it up using that without a drill. And remember, when you glue everything, we are using hot glue and E6000 again. So for the little part inside of the belt, what I'm doing again is gluing two little small bowls together. Depending on the look you are going for, you can decide what kind of spray paint to use. I only had the gold one, the gold metallic one on hand. So I spray painted that, and then I wanted to give it that brassy type bell look, you know, like the original Jingle Bells look. So what I did was take my antique wax and I just dabbed on some of that, and then I rubbed it all in around the bell. So this next part could have been way easier than when I made it. I just didn't realize I could do this till like the very end. So I have heard you can use your hot glue gun to make holes in these type of plastic pieces, you know. So this really thin clear plastic I could make holes in with my glue gun. I didn't know that till the end. So the best way to do this before me showing you what I actually did was you can make a hole in all three of these items. I'm doing two of these bells, so it would have been really easy like that. So what you would do is just hold your glue gun in the area that you want the hole and slowly just sit it there for seconds and seconds, several seconds, and then start to kind of move it side to side and it'll push through. And once I did that, I was like, really, I could have done that. Anyways, before I knew that, what I did to hang the part inside of the bell is just add hot glue on top of it, and then added some of my ribbon, and I also glued it inside. Add anything you want to this, and what I did was grab one of my huge Christmas tree bows, and I just added it to the top of those bells. I cannot tell you how much I love the way these bells came out. I love the color. I think the color came out perfect, and it just looked really nice on the stairs. So imagine if you made like 3 or 4 sets of them along your stairs with some garland. Oh, it will be super pretty. For the next DIY, I'm gonna be making sort of a Santa Claus shadow box. And what I'm gonna do is just take one of these little frames. They're made out of like MDF, they're not wood. And I'm not sure if this is gonna matter, but I am gonna remove this sticker. This one is easy to take off. And I'm also gonna remove that. All of this that you see here is from Dollar Tree. The Santa Claus, the ribbon, batteries, and the LED lights. Now I'm gonna be removing this and putting the batteries in there. You don't have to take the snowflakes off, it's not gonna matter. I'm gonna set these in here and kind of spread it around. It's gonna be sitting like that, so I'm gonna tape them down a little. That way they won't move. Now I'm just gonna add one more piece of tape. Once it's sitting up, it's gonna be behind there. That way it'll be easy just to turn on and off. So we're gonna just put a piece of tape behind here. Now I'm gonna take this ribbon. Again, they have a bunch of different ribbons at Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna overlap it to tuck it in the back. To keep the Santa Claus head from jiggling like that, since it's not glued on too much but the rim, I'm gonna take some Dollar Tree Jenga blocks and I'm gonna apply glue and glue it down like that so it doesn't move so much. Alright, lastly, I'm gonna take these buttons from the Dollar Tree. You're probably so annoyed of me saying that, but these are from the Dollar Tree. They come with a bunch of different buttons. I'm gonna take a few of them and see which ones. Let me see, I think I'll do 2. Yeah, and they're not all the same, they're all different, so by removing this, taking this off again. Lastly, to make it really look like a present, I'm gonna take these Dollar Tree bows and add one to the top. Two of these large tinsel ornaments, and what I'm gonna do to start off is remove the tinsel. So I just cut a piece at the top and then I just start pulling it off. And what I'm going to do is connect both of them with some more pipe cleaner. I thought this would be another fun way to make a large light up ornament. After using pipe cleaner all around the ornament to keep it in place, now I am going to add my fairy lights. I decided to do this instead of using the Dollar Tree lights, which you totally still can if you want to. I just really like using the fairy lights because first of all, this strand is really long. It's about 10 feet long and I got it from Walmart last year for a few dollars. Also, I like that the strand is made out of wire, so I'm able to place it exactly where I want. The little pieces that are sticking out on the sides, those are what was used to hold the tinsel in place. So I'm using those as well to hold the fairy lights in place. So this was honestly that simple. You can go without the bow if you want to really show the top piece to make it look like an ornament even more. I decided to add a bow made out of some fall buffalo check ribbon at Dollar Tree. A box out of these picture frames. I'm using the Dollar Tree Certificate of Achievement ones. So basically the same way you would make a lantern, except this one's gonna be bigger. I'm not gonna go into too much detail with this because I've done this a million times on my channel and I know y'all probably seen it so many times. It's real simple. I'm just gonna remove everything and then you're gonna glue all four frames together. And I always like to remove the little hardware pieces because you can see them if I do use them to hold the glass down. You can see them. You can kind of tell it's picture frame. So I remove them and I'm going to go ahead and remove the glass and paint my picture frames white. You can skip this step if the picture frames are already the color that you want, but I want mine white and I couldn't find any white ones at Dollar Tree, so I'm going to go ahead and paint them. Alright, and now I can glue them together. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue the glass into place on each frame. To give it a bottom, I took a piece of foam board from my foam board that I got at Dollar Tree and I'm just going to hot glue it to the bottom of my box. I'm using some dowels on the corners in the inside, that way there's more security on the frames and that they won't fall apart. And I also need to touch up on my white paint on the frames. You can probably tell where the right side of this is. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the dowels once I finish gluing them. The first thing I'm adding is 2 tubes of these Dollar Tree ornaments. One has 15, which are a little bit smaller, and then the other one has 12. I don't know if you can tell, but this thing is huge. I forgot to mention that I laid the frames horizontally instead of vertically like you would normally see. So this thing is really big. And I was going to add some of these LED Dollar Tree lights in here, but I decided not to in the end. I do add the lights right here, but I end up taking them out. So you'll see me add them, and the huge ornament balls that you see on the side, the red and the grayish ones. Those were $1 each. And honestly, I thought I got too many, but since this is so big, I should have probably grabbed maybe 2 more. So I have the real pretty gray color. I'm going to add those, the red ones, and then I'll show you the other 2 ornaments I picked up.
I woke up this morning, I looked outside my window.
The last 2 ornaments that I'm going to add in here are these Dollar Tree LED ornaments, which I've never seen them before. So this is why I decided not to use the LED string lights.
It's been such a long time, but tomorrow's Christmas Day, and I am on my way. I'm coming home for Christmas. Yes, I'm coming home to you. Oh, how much I missed you. Wanna spend this day with you.
I'm using 5 Dollar Tree buckets. They come in a 2-pack and they're always located in the wedding section at Dollar Tree. I'm going to make some large Christmas bells with these buckets. Now the first thing I'm going to do is just remove the handles. And then on these parts of the buckets, I'm going to fold them inside. So I left all of them white, but what I went ahead and did was take some red paint and make 2 stripes on them just to give it more of a Christmas look. So all I did to do that was grab some red paint and a sponge brush from Dollar Tree. I take a little bit on my brush and I just push onto the bucket in a line. You can see these very light lines on the buckets, and that kind of helped me with where I wanted them to go. Now doing it on camera is a little more trickier to get the lines straight. I had an easier time doing it off camera, so this was not going to be completely straight, but that's totally fine. You know, I don't care about it being perfectly straight. I love it to look a little bit rustic. Alright, I got all of them painted the way I want. Now what we're going to do is make a hole at the top of the buckets, and all I'm doing is just taking a drill bit for that.
Jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light.
So this is how my belt is going to look once it's done. It's super cute, right? Alright, so it's very simple. I'm going to show you how to do this. All I did was take those little red and silver bells from Dollar Tree. They come in about a 12 or 16 pack for, $1. I just took a piece of twine and I cut that pretty long, that way I don't come out short. I stick it through the bell at the top and I even the twine out. Once it's even, I'm going to make a knot about 1 inch above the bell. Then I'm going to stick it through the inside of the little buckets. Once I do that, I'm going to make another knot at the top of the bucket. Lastly, I placed one last knot at the top so it creates a little loop. Now I'm going to hang them onto a red piece of ribbon. So I'm taking one of the buckets and I'm going to loop the red ribbon through, and I'm going to place 2 knots right there. I continue on with the next bucket, place it through about, I'm going to say about 2 inches above from the next one. And I'm alternating between the red and silver bells. So the last thing I did was take these Dollar Tree rub-on transfers, and I'm just gonna spell out Mary on the buckets. This is really simple to use. You just cut out the letter that you want, place it sticky side down onto whatever you want, and then you just rub it with your finger and it transfers over. I'm adding another one of those buffalo check bows, and I'm placing it at the top right here. Now what you can do is just leave whatever ribbon that you decide to use long enough to make a loop so you can hang it wherever you want. I just added more of those beads and placed this bow right there. I'm going to be using these 3D wreaths forms from Dollar Tree. As you can see, I have one made already to the right hand side of me. It's sitting sideways because the way you put it together, it's a little difficult, but I was able to do it. So it's not really able to sit up like I want it to. So I do end up adding like a piece of cardboard underneath, and you'll see that in a little bit. So that way it can sit upright. It really didn't help that much. So you probably want to use like maybe a little scrap piece of wood or something so it can sit up well. First, all you're going to do is just shape it into a sphere by spreading out the wreath forms. And then once you do that, the two metal pieces that you see sitting on the table, I'm going to place one of them at the top, and that's going to help me wrap them around each wreath form so it stays in place. In order to do that, all I did was grab a piece of scrap paper, kind of a festive red color. So I have a long piece right here, and all I'm going to do is fold it in half 3 times. And then at the bottom of this, I'm going to cut a half circle. And then just glue the ends together. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on the wreath and then connect it to the scrap paper. I have 3 large ball ornaments from Dollar Tree that I'm going to add, and then I'm also going to add a few small ones as well. Alright, so lastly, I'm going to add some Dollar Tree lights again. You can add a long strand of fairy lights. They have them at Walmart, and it's probably a little bit better because it'll be a way longer strand, and I think you'll get a more better price. But since this is what I had already from last year, I'm just going to use this strand. So as you can see, I'm sticking it at the top, and then I'm going to set the battery pack on the top inside of that scrap paper. Right here, I'm working on the smaller ornament. It's easier to add the lights when the small little ball ornaments that were inside are not in there. What I did with one of them, I don't know if it was this one or the bigger one, I actually just set the battery pack at the bottom instead of at the top. So it's up to you. And what I'm doing is just wrapping the lights around each wreath form. I only had 2 lights, so that's why I just used one for each ball ornament. But if you want, like I said, get a longer strand and you can wrap it around each one, around the whole thing, and it would look so pretty. And then once I finished doing this part, I don't show it right here. I decided to do it after I was already done filming. But the lights, you see how they kind of stick out in different ways? I used some floral wire and wrapped each light so it's facing all in one direction. Dollar Tree tag. I'm gonna sand off the glitter on top of it, and then we're gonna paint it white with my Waverly white chalk paint. Once that was dry, I'm going to take some red paint and I'm going to use my sponge brush. I just cut off a piece from the actual handle, and it's just easier for me to control it if I do it like this. Or you can use a makeup sponge as well. So all I'm doing is outlining the ends with the sponge. Now I'm going to draw a line all the way around the sign, about 1/2 inch away from the edges, and I'm just using a smaller, skinnier brush for this part. So I have 5 bells from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of about 9 or 12, I don't remember. And I also have some letters. So this basically is going to say silver bells. I cut out some letters for my Cricut. You can use any letters that you want. They have so many options at Dollar Tree. And I spelled out silver. So I'm going to place the bells and the letters horizontally. And now I'm going to hot glue down the bells. As you can see, that little scuff right there next to the S. Well, I had glued it a different way and it didn't look right, so I decided to do it this way where it shows the snowflake. I think it looked a little cuter like that. So I'm going to make another Christmas bow for the top. It's really simple. I'm using more Walmart ribbon. I'm just making loops. They all have to be about the same length, and I do about 4 or 5 of them. Just keep going with it. pinch the center and then wrap it with some pipe cleaners. Once I do that, then I just spread out the bow to the way I like.
Blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what we do.
I made a little red one with just 2 loops, and now I'm going to add it to the top of this with more pipe cleaner.
Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas.
This next part is really simple. I'm taking more of the silver glittery ribbon. I wrap it around the center of the bow, and then I just cut the length that I think I need. I'm just always cutting a little bit more than what you think because you don't want it to end up being too short. And then I'm going to place the end of the ribbon through the hole on the sign. I'm going to make a couple knots and add a little bit of hot glue on the knot to secure it.
We're gonna dance, dance, have a good time, dance all night long.
I'm making another knot at the top of this, which will make me a loop so I can hang it on some farmhouse hooks in my living room. Thank you for staying till the end. I appreciate y'all so much. I'll see y'all in the next video.
I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me